The 2019 draft class for the Colts was one they were reloading and getting ready to make that run with Andrew Luck, get him another weapon in Parris Campbell, get us some cornerbacks so we could give him the ball more often, maybe get some turnovers, give Andrew Luck more chances. But obviously, Andrew Luck wasn't the guy. It was Jacoby Brissett. Brissett was the one who ultimately led the Colts that year, and it was disappointing to say the least. But the draft class is, kind of in the same story. It's not a great draft class. Not a fan of it. There are some really talented players, yeah, but it's either they couldn't stay healthy or they just didn't turn out. So at the end of the day, you have to be honest with yourself and say, hey, did they play? No, but when they did play, were they all right? All that matters when you're making the grade. But yeah, I previously just made a video on the 2019 or the 2020 draft class. So now we're doing 2019. Next we'll do 2018, 2017. So make sure you like, subscribe, with the post notification bell on so you don't miss any of those future videos. And it's time to get into it. So it's enough of that blibber blabber. And Rakiasin, right? Rakiasin, very weird tenure with the Colts. He was with the Colts for 3 years and he was traded to the Raiders. So his first year, he showed flashes. He was good here and there and, didn't make a big impact, but made an all right one. Second year wasn't as good. It was kind of the same. He had these moments here and there, but couldn't put it all together. Year 3, he played well in year 3, but it wasn't enough. So the Colts traded him. They had a chance to trade him for an edge rusher, and they sure did so. They traded him for Unique Ngakoue, and Unique Ngakoue isn't even on the team now. So take that how you want it, but Rakiasin was not very good with the Colts. When he was traded to the Raiders, that's when he actually had his best year. He garnered he had an 82.5 pass rating allowed towards quarterbacks. Didn't have nearly that, any year when he was with the Colts. I think one year maybe he had a 90-something, but that was about it. It just really wasn't it. He committed a lot of penalties. He just couldn't get the job done. And for that reason, I am giving Rakiasin a D+. This pick is a D+. Now, if it was a first-round pick, it would be an F. That's the only thing keeping it from being an F. He's with the Colts for 3 years. He had a few nice plays here and there, but he ultimately couldn't put it all together. And being an early second-round pick, you're expected to come in and at some point make an impact. Maybe, since you're not a first-round pick, maybe you get a little chance to say, hey, you screwed up the first 2 years. Your third year's a chance. He still didn't do it. And I feel like something happened, with the character shift. I think Chris Ballard wasn't too happy with him, either that way or just his play. Could it be both? But Rakiasin, D+. That's the best I could give it. I can't give it any better. At first I kind of gave it a C-, but then at the end of the day, is it really that big of a difference? C-, D+? No. But I think D+ is a fair grade to me. And you have Ben Banogu. He came out as a linebacker. We converted him to edge rusher. And there's not really too much to go into with Ben Banogu. I mean, Ben Banogu, his first year, he had a nice little first year. He showed some promise. But he never saw the field as much as his first year in the next 3. These last 3 years, hasn't had a sack. I don't know if he's had any tackles for losses even. He's had 2 or 3 pressures maybe. But he has had about a half a year of playing time in 4 years. So being a second-round pick, you expect that player to be an impact player at some point in his career, or maybe, a solid role player. He really was never that. And, if you go back and you look at some of the reports and stuff, he was injured once in a while. And then along with that, teams, just the staff in general, they weren't really too thrilled with his work ethic. They didn't like his drive in practice. They didn't think he really had one. So he just didn't last with the Colts. And with him playing only 1 year, getting 3 sacks in that year, and doing absolutely nothing in the future, yeah, it's not a good draft pick. It's not a good look. This is an F all the way. I don't think there's, especially when you took him when A.J. Brown was there. At the time, you didn't draft Campbell yet in the second. No, you didn't draft Campbell yet. It just doesn't... It's not good. It's not good when you barely getting playing time after year 1. Had some promising plays, but not really much. It gets an F. Other players like A.J. Brown were there, like I said. But then, yeah, with your next pick, which was another third-round pick, or no, second round pick, you pick Parris Campbell. And, you could have picked A.J. Brown instead of Ben Banogu. Maybe you would pick a different player here. But Parris Campbell, right, when he was on the field, he was a great playmaker. Every time he caught the ball or he got the ball in his hands, it's like, he's a threat to score some points. He's a big play threat. He's a dynamic playmaker, whether it's jet sweeps, whether it's a jet or, something like that. It sucks because sometimes players are very talented. They just can't stay on the field. Kind of like with Andrew Luck, but it is a way different situation. That's kind of like an extreme example comparing it to this situation. But Parris Campbell can never stay on the field. But when he does, he was good. When he did, he was good. Whether it was receiving the ball, it was a deep threat, or running the ball. There were so many different things he did. He just didn't work out health-wise. And he was drafted as a weapon for Andrew Luck at that point, too. So everyone's like, yeah, damn, this is a good pick. And at the time, it was exciting for Parris Campbell to come to the Colts because we knew how good he was coming in. We thought, damn, this was a good spot for him to go. It was kind of like a steal. 4 years later, he's not on the team. Played one full season. Last year, he played a full 17-game season. Well, unfortunately, the quarterback situation was the worst it has been over the last 4. He had a lot of really nice plays. He was open. He got a few touchdowns. He was targeted 85 times. Parris Campbell had a pretty good 4th year for us, especially considering the situation with the quarterback play. He had over 600 receiving yards. I think he had 40-some receptions. It was a really good year. Really good year. Now, Chris Ballard just thought, hey, there's a lot of depth in this class. We're just going to let him go, let him walk, and we're going to draft someone else. Now you had Michael Pittman, Pierce. So it's like, okay, we could manage to let him go, maybe draft someone in the 3rd, 4th, maybe 2nd. You got to steal on Josh Downs. Okay, nice. But that's off topic a little bit. Parris Campbell, I'd like to give him like a B, for last year, but you can't. You have to take in all 4 years. Even if the first 2 years were pretty bad and then the next 2 years turns to be a stud, that's a little different. But if you're just not turning out to be, or you're not healthy, you only played 1 season, that's going to hamper your grade quite a bit and just hamper it in general for me. I gave him a C. He did a lot of really nice things when he was healthy. He was a deep threat. He was a playmaker. He was a mismatch nightmare. Not many players that, I think he was 6'1", ran an extremely fast 40 time like he did. It's a mismatch nightmare. And it sucks the way his career panned out in Indianapolis. Is he probably going to go and have a good career in New York? If he stays healthy, he's only 25. He's going to be a pretty damn good player if he's healthy in New York. Daniel Jones is one of the best deep balls in the NFL. And Brian Dable knows how to get players involved. And they know their skill sets. So there's no doubt in my mind, as long as Campbell's healthy, he's going to be a pretty damn good player for New York. But for the Colts, it's a C. He didn't he didn't really have a chance, but he wasn't healthy. And that's half the game. Staying healthy is half the game, really. So Bobby Okereke was the next pick in the 3rd round. This was a great pick. Or the first pick of the 3rd round. This is a great pick. He was a playmaker all 4 years. He wasn't really hurt that much. 1 year he, think he had something going on with his hand. His hand was all taped up. He had like a club. Yet he intercepted the ball that week, and he just had a phenomenal week. He's toughness. Great player, great character, great work ethic. He forced fumbles. He got interceptions. He's a tackle machine. Sideline guy. I can't say as much good things about Bobby Okereke for being drafted in the 3rd round as Pat McAfee, the way he introduced him as a future Hall of Famer, Bobby Okereke. It just, he's a great player. He really is. It's just that when you're already paying one linebacker big time money, really generational money in like almost $20 million a year, you can't really spend another $10 million a year on a linebacker. You can't. You need to allocate that money to another premium position and cornerback, edge rusher. If eventually you are going to have to pay your quarterback, whoever it is, probably Anthony Richardson right now, but honestly, this was a great pick. Even though he didn't strike a second contract, this is an A-plus pick for me. He was a third-round pick, and he was a big-time impact player. There's nothing more that you can ask out of any player coming out. If you drafted a player in the first and he was an impact player almost every single week, playing really well, you'd take it. You'd take him in the first. Depending on the other talents that came out that year that we know really are killing it now, but really this is an A+. Phenomenal player for the Colts. And I'm not gonna knock down the grade because he's going to a different team. There was a legit reason why I knew let him walk. Maybe you could make the point as if he was really that great of a player, you can't let him walk, but he's a linebacker. You can't allocate that much money to linebackers in today's NFL. You have to spend that money on corners, edge rushers, receivers. There's other places you need to spend that money. You're already spending $40 million in non-premium positions, $20 million in Shaquille Leonard, and another $20 million in Quentin Nelson. So A+ for me with Bobby Okereke. He was a phenomenal pick. I really enjoyed watching him play in Indy. I hope he goes and kills it in New York. So then we have Khari Willis in the 4th round. So this one's kind of like weird to grade because he was a pretty good player for this for this Colts team. He had 2 interceptions 2 years in a row, had a good amount of tackles. He was a very good presence in that team. He was kind of like that up in the box kind of safety. He was a very good player, and he retired early because he wanted to go pursue a career with his religion. And he was having some injury issues at the time as well, I think. Or he just had a down year as well. So it was kind of maybe a little bit both saying, hey, there's life outside football. I want to go pursue this. And I respect him for it. People are going to do what they want. He's going to do what he wants. It's good for him. But in the football sense, it hurts. It stinks to see him go because he was a good player. But I think he was a bit of a replaceable player because when we drafted Nick Cross, it was kind of like, hey, we might be able to replace Khari Willis with Nick Cross. So Khari Willis was a very solid player. So you have to grade him for when he was with us, and he had some great plays, such. So I'm gonna give Khari Willis let's see what we had here. Khari Willis, I had him at a B-. He played 3 seasons. He was solid, good tackler in box. He was a solid pick, a good 3 years. Now, maybe is a B- a little generous for a player that only played 3 years? Maybe, but Chris Ballard couldn't really, he can't really predict that. He has no control over if a player is going to retire or not. Chris Ballard did a good job here. This was a good pick by the Colts. And, like I said with Parris Campbell, sometimes you just have to knock it down to the football senses. But, hey, I guess 3 years of a good, of good play at strong safety, I guess he'll take it, right? I'm going to give it a B-. If he was still playing, he's still a pretty solid player, I'd probably give him an A. But he just is not. So you can't grade a situation that isn't there. You know what I'm saying? Then you have Marvell Tell. This is one where you look and you're like, what happened? His rookie season, he was impressive. He was, he didn't play a ton, but he played enough, and you were able to look at him and be like, wow. Marvell Tell, for being, I think he was a 5th round pick, being like, wow. Marvell Tell really showed up for being a 5th round pick or 4th round, whatever. You're coming in, you're playing the hardest position to learn and play in the NFL, and you're being a pretty good corner. And that's a year where we really needed corner. And when he stepped in. He was solid. But after that first year, it becomes a big question mark. He opted out because of the sickness going around. That was a crazy year. Stadiums were empty. But, you'd think he maybe come back, which he did come back. He didn't get any playing time, though. And I think he was cut and then brought back again. It was really weird. And he was talented his rookie year. Just couldn't come back from it. And it may seem a little harsh to give this an F, because he had a good rookie year. It's just like, what happened? But if any other player had a good, say, first year, and they did absolutely nothing the next 3 and didn't play at all, you're not going to get a good grade. It's an F. This is an F. I know it's a 4th or 5th round pick. He played 1 good year, but it's an F. He didn't make that much of an impact after year one. He just kind of disappeared from the face of the earth. So it just stinks to see him going, because good day 3 pick, and it seemed like a good day 3 pick. You know, you really don't know if he was going to be good or not, honestly, because sometimes players have pretty good first years, and then kind of like him, you never show up again whether you're playing or not. So the next pick here, this is a very good pick. This is E.J Speed. He's still on the team. Very, you know, for the first few years, his first couple of years, he was a special teams player, and he was a special teams ace. He was very good. And then as time went on, he got more opportunities as players got hurt to step in, play a little bit, and he's opened eyes. And I think he's going to be one of the guys. Let me make sure he's still on the roster. I'm 90% sure he's still on the roster. I thought I saw they re-signed him. E.J Speed. Yes. A 2-year deal worth up to $8 million. So incredible. He's a very good player, and I thought they did re-sign him. He's a good player. This is an A for being a 5th round pick, 5th or 6th. I think he was 5th, and coming in and being, you know, at first making a big impact on special teams, then coming in and playing once in a while, making a pretty big impact there. These last 2 years, he's played a lot more, and arguably he has been one of our better linebackers, even with Bobby. I think that is why we are okay with letting Bobby Okereke go, and that is because of E.J Speed. So I absolutely think this is, I put an A down. I think this is an A-plus pick. 5th round, an impactful player, and he's still on the team heading into year 5. Great pick. Great pick by Chris Ballard here. But that's where this draft just ends. Right? Last 3 picks, Gary Green. I believe he was out of A&M. He was an interior defensive lineman. Never saw the field. Jackson Barton was a tackle. Javon Patterson was a guard, I think. None of those guys hit the field, and they all get Fs. Now you may say it may be unfair to give 6th and 7th round players who don't really have much of a chance to begin with. That's very false. Every player has a chance, but they didn't really make worth of it. And you know, you have to grade it fairly, because there are players in the 6th and 7th round that you draft, and you're like, hey, you could come and become a special teams player for us. You could come and become a solid depth piece. They became neither. They never even saw the field. So they're all getting enough from me. But I want you guys to let me know what you think about this 2019 draft class. I think it's an alright draft. It's an alright draft class. There are some really good players that we got out of this draft. You know, if Parris Campbell played more, he would have gotten a better grade, and then would have been even better. But he just couldn't stay healthy. Rakia Sim never turned out to be that guy. We did get some great value picks in E.J Speed. But you know, Bobby Okereke was a great pick in the 3rd round. You got some good players out of this draft, but not all of them stayed, even if they played well. It's just how the NFL works. But I want you guys to give me your thoughts on this draft class down below. This is all I got for you today. Thank you for tuning into the JDW Sports Talk Show. And don't forget, I'm going to be doing the 2018 class tomorrow, and then the 2017 class. So really, I'm regrading all of Ballard's draft classes up to this point. We didn't do 21. We're going to do 21 and 22. I don't think we did. Yeah, we did 22. Well, I don't know why I skipped 21. 21 will be done, but that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in. This is JDW Sports Talk Show signing off.